What's up guys, and welcome back to On the Brick. Ever since I started this channel, I have had quite a few people ask me how do I get pieces for custom builds. This is both in regards to how I personally do it and just in general. See, the process of doing so, though in all honesty quite simple, is a little more complicated than it should be at first. Here to say that though the process is easy to understand once you know what you're doing, I completely get why people are a little overwhelmed when they're first getting into it. So, because I've had quite a good few people ask me exactly how do I do this, today I thought I would do a pretty, as far as I can, in-depth tutorial on how to purchase pieces. This is going to tell you about the programs that you'll need, where to find instructions, and then of course how to take all of that and buy the pieces themselves. If you have any further questions, or perhaps I'm not entirely clear on something, feel free to leave any questions in the comments down below and I'll do my best to answer them. If you don't know which program I've had open in the background this whole time, well, that's kind of why I'm here and doing this today. This is Studio or stud.io, but for today's video, I'm going to be calling it Studio. It is one of the better programs when it comes to creating Lego digitally. As in, it not only allows you to create whatever you want with pretty much every piece that's ever been made, but then it allows you to upload that to bricklink. So, before you do anything, I would highly recommend getting this exact program. Now, if for any reason you don't know how to do that, if you just go to Google and type in stud.io, the very first link is exactly what you're looking for. It's a completely safe program, it's a free program, and now that Lego owns bricklink, I think it's going to be even better. All you have to do is click this download button, it'll automatically save. If you don't know how to do that, well, you're probably not watching this video. If you don't want to use Studio, perhaps you're a little older or something, you can always use LDD or Lego Digital Designer. It's a very simple and very similar program. It has reasons that people like it. I prefer using Studio, but if you want, you can download LDD. I have it too, build in here, but I would recommend before doing anything else, also get Studio because you can open up LDD files in there. And again, doing that will just save you a whole lot of time. Now, once you have those downloaded, you're going to need to know where to get instructions or part lists from. Because sure, you can go to bricklink, and if you're into custom Lego, you should know what this website is. For those of you who don't know, I always like to call this the eBay of Lego. It's not really the most accurate term. It's probably better to say that this is like the Amazon of Lego, if that makes sense. Because everything here is 100% Lego. You can buy old sets, new sets, used sets, sealed sets, you can buy minifigures, you can buy individual pieces, you can buy whatever you want as long as it's Lego related on here. So sure, you could go and you could search the individual pieces that you wanted and you could go one by one and do it that way. But first of all, that's just really tedious, and second of all, that's why you need a parts list. It's just gonna save you time. So when it comes to buying instructions, which most places also include parts list with that, the two places that I always go to first are, of course, BrickVault here, or as well as Rebrickable. BrickVault, of course, focuses mainly on Star Wars, though they do have a large variety of other items, while Rebrickable focuses on just about everything, as it's not one single creator there. And I understand BrickVault isn't, but you know what I mean. So, starting with BrickVault, go ahead and find some instructions you want to buy. I'm going to be clear here, though this is something that you really should know if you're at this point. BrickVault only sells instructions. Most of these places only sell instructions, in fact. At this stage, that is all you are buying. needless to say, it is obviously incredibly important to the whole process. So I have gone ahead and I have found the tumbler from the Christopher Nolan Batman films. It's only $4.99, so it's not too expensive to get at all, and if you look underneath, they have some extra information that you might want. It has an estimated price cost, it tells you the total number of pieces, and of course who designed this as well. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and add it to your cart, and then you'll see a few options show up on the right. You of course have the option to look at your cart, you have secure checkout, and then you have a few different options to pay. I always do PayPal, so that's what I'm going to be doing here, and for obvious reasons I will not be showing that process. Once you put in your PayPal information, if you're going that route, don't worry, you are not paying immediately. It will still take you to another screen like this one to make sure that you can complete your order. And the biggest reason that I actually bring up this page at all is because no, I do not have a discount code. When you're ready, go ahead and complete your order. It should take a few seconds to process, but once it's done, you're going to see that it's preparing your downloads. Now, while you can exit out of the screen, you don't need to, because in less than a minute, your downloads will be ready. You will receive an email telling you when they are good to go, but if you wait, they'll be right there for you. And once it is ready, just go ahead and hit download and you're pretty much good to go there. Now let's put a pause on that for just 1 second so I can quickly explain how to do this process through Rebrickable. As I said, Rebrickable has a lot more to offer as it's just a place for anyone to put their creations. This means you'll probably have to spend a little bit more time looking for anything specific that you want. Today I happened to find this incredible Santa Baby Yoda that I would really love to buy. Now the first big difference here is that you have to be logged in. You have to make an account. The good news is that it is completely free and they don't really send you spam email. In fact, I don't think I've ever gotten an email from them at all. That's why you're probably seeing just a black bar in the top right where my name would be. By the way, one thing to keep in mind is that not everything on Rebrickable costs money. For instance, here is a nice build from Destiny that I can just go ahead and download at no cost. But today I really wanted to buy the Santa Baby Yoda, and so thankfully Rebrickable seems to have added an option of paying right at the top of the page. You used to have to really scroll down and kind of hunt for the purchase option, so thankfully they added that there to make it really simple. Once again, it is done through PayPal, so once again I can't show you this process. But like any other time using PayPal, just put in your information and when you're done, you'll see this screen. You might be wondering, hey, what's difference? Well, the difference is that the PayPal option is gone and now I can download the file. I'm actually really glad that this happened because what I ended up just purchasing here was nothing more than a PDF file, meaning there was no parts list included. However, when you're purchasing through Rebrickable, thankfully if you go down, there is a buy parts option. You should ignore everything here except for the add parts to bricklink wanted list button. You'll have to connect your account to Rebrickable, but that is a very simple process and is not very hard to do at all. So once it's connected, you should see this screen. Go ahead and hit new wanted list, give it a name, and then just hit add parts and you'll be good to go. In fact, whenever you're ready, you can just hit view wanted list and it will take you straight there. So now you have your parts list, whether it's through Brickvault or through Rebrickable. But how do you go from having this file to having the pieces? We're going to use Brickvault's Tumblr as the example here as, well, I just kind of want to. This build, of course, is a rather small and simple one, and so to no surprise, the file itself is as well. They have the PDF instructions, and then they have this weird file called tumblr.xml. Of course, the PDF are the actual instructions themselves, but what you need to be concerned about right now is this XML file. This is your parts list. So go ahead and open that up, and if it doesn't open for any reason, you should be able to open it in Notepad or something like that. You should be able to. And of course, what you're going to see here is basically the matrix, and this is where I tell you that you need to learn coding and how to use computers, and absolutely not, none of that is true. You really have to know absolutely nothing about what any of this is saying. The only thing you have to do with this file is copy everything in it. Just Control A and Control C. That is the only thing you need to do. At this point, go ahead and go back to bricklink, where you're going to see at the top of the screen, it says Market, Studio, Community, and then it says Sell Lego, My BL, Want, and Cart. Go to where it says Want, hover over it, and then go down and click Upload. You should see this screen at this point. Where it says Upload a file from your computer, go ahead and click over to Upload Bricklink XML format. Then, where it says Add to, change that to be a new wanted list. Go ahead and give that name whatever you want, in this case Tumblr. And then this is one of the most important parts here. Where it says copy and paste here is exactly where you're going to want to paste the contents from that XML file. Now, before you do anything else, scroll back up to the top of that list. Make sure you highlight everything before inventory. You will keep the less than sign, but everything before that, make sure you have highlighted like you see it on my screen here, and then delete it. If you do not delete that, it will not work. Bricklink will not upload the file and you are going to get frustrated. Do this every single time. Anytime that you are uploading an XML parts list onto Bricklink, the very first thing that should be there is less than sign, inventory, greater than sign. That's what should be there. If there's anything before that, it will not work. Once you have deleted what I have said to, go ahead and click on Proceed to verify items. You won't really need to do much on this screen, so go ahead and just click Add to Wanted List, and then it'll give you the option to either upload more items or go ahead and view the list you just made. Regardless of which route you take, you should end up at a screen like this looking at a wanted list. Now, a lot of people out there have a bunch of spare or extra pieces. Now, if that's you, then you should definitely check if you already own any of the pieces required for the build you want to do. Let's say, for instance, that you happen to own 2 of these brackets, you can just go ahead and delete them right there. Or if you only own 1 of them, you can also adjust the quantity here and then confirm it by pressing enter. Regardless, when you are ready to buy the pieces, there are 2 ways to do this. The way that I would highly recommend is to go ahead and hit the green buy all button that you see on the top right. This will take you to this page here that has a list of a bunch of sellers, a bunch of different options for whatever you want. If you live in America, especially at the time of making this video, I would highly recommend keeping your location only to the USA, and I would also highly recommend making sure that the first 2 boxes here under the exclude option are clicked. Doing so will make sure that you are not purchasing from any stores you do not like, and that you are not including any stores that won't ship to you. Underneath, you'll also see some options that you can highlight. I've made over 200 purchases on Bricklink, so I have some stores that I do like and some coupons that are active, so most of the time I'll have those 2 options clicked as well. For the basis of this tutorial, I'm not going to do that. And honestly, you don't really need to do anything else other than just click the blue auto select button. If you really want to, you can go through the stores listed there and figure out which one works best for you. That's going to take a lot of time, and so I would highly recommend just clicking auto select. This screen will show up, and I do recommend that you do not have that box clicked. It says select stores when item price is lower than the store minimum buy. This shows up because several stores on Bricklink have a minimum purchase. Usually that purchase is only anywhere between $1 to $5. I've seen it be as ridiculously high as $150 before. So let's say that there's a store out there that has 2 pieces that you need, and the total is only 20 cents, but they have a $1 minimum. Obviously, that means that in order to buy from them, you will need to spend 80 cents more. So not having this box included means that it just won't select that store and save you the trouble. At this point, finally go ahead and hit start. Depending the size of the build you want to make and the amount of pieces involved, this could take a while. So just be patient and let it do its thing. The tumbler only has a few hundred pieces, and so it was able to calculate it quite quickly, and as you see here, it automatically showed 3 different stores and the information required with those. It tells you how many unique lots, that means how many different types of pieces are you getting from this store. The item count is the total number of pieces you are getting from them. And then obviously the item price is your total minus shipping from that store. There are 2 very important things to keep in mind here. First, just make sure that the item price on the subtotal underneath is an acceptable range for you. This is where, especially if you're a first-time buyer, you're gonna have to make sure that people aren't trying to overcharge you. For instance, there are several stores out there, which I will not name, that charge like 10 cents a piece for 1x1 plates. And while that doesn't sound bad, those plates are ridiculously cheap and should go for no more than a few cents. So if this is your first time, you're definitely going to want to go through stores, make sure that they are acceptable prices, and dislike any that you do not like. It might take some time, but it will definitely make this process easier for you. For instance, this person here is charging 10 cents a piece for 5 new black 1x1 plates. So I'm going to take a second to try and find a better store. But the second important thing to keep in mind when looking at this screen is this number on the top right. It says 210 out of 210 assigned and 100%. That means that 100% of the pieces I have asked to buy are included in these 3 stores. This isn't always the case, and it's why it's necessary for you to go through and just make sure that the pieces you're asking to get are actually included. Some stores like to include things where, like, if you want to buy a 1x1 piece, you have to buy a minimum of 100 of them. Bricklink does not filter that out, includes all 100 pieces, and adds it to that total there. Now, when that happens, most of the time what you'll see is this number saying like 125% or something like that. So if you'll see that, then you know you should check your stores. It doesn't always mean it's a bad thing, it just means you should check. Also, if for any reason the subtotal cost below seems maybe too high, or you have not completed all 100%, go ahead and remove all the stores, and then under the excluded options, make sure you click lots below wanted quality. What this option means is that if you need 10 of one specific piece, it will only choose stores that will sell you all 10. As you can see in the case of the tumbler here, it actually did lower the cost just a few dollars. And in the future at some point, I probably will make another tutorial about how to lower costs in other ways, because there are a few different ways to do it. But this video is getting long enough and we're almost at the end. So whenever you're ready, just click create carts, and then all of those stores should now have a checkout option next to them. However, what I do is I go to the top where it says cart, and then I click view all carts. The biggest reason that I do this is because it will give me an estimated shipping and handling cost and a grand total cost as well. Some stores don't know the exact pricing of shipping, as it depends on the number of pieces you get, so that will just show up as TBD. But going here, you'll still get a much better idea of how exactly to buy pieces. Here, you're just going to want to hit view cart and then proceed to checkout. Sometimes you'll get some information here or like a splash screen. You'll want to read these or at least skim through them, as sometimes they'll have some information about shipping or whatnot, or sometimes they'll just say, hey, we do this as fast as we can. Once you hit agree and continue, it will then ask you your shipping address, which should already be included. Hit continue to move on to payment. And some stores have different options depending exactly where you're buying from. Like I said, I would just stick to PayPal. Then lastly, you will agree on shipping. Most of the stores, at least in the US, really only offer like one basic option, but some of them do offer more expensive but faster options as well. And then at that point, just go ahead and confirm. Some stores out there will not give you a total immediately. They will ask to send you an invoice. If you agree to this, you are agreeing to pay them, so do keep that in mind. And most places will get back to you within a day or 2, you will receive an email telling you that the invoice is ready, and you will also get messages on bricklink. If that happens, just go to My BL and then Messages, and you will be able to click on the message and follow the instructions there. It's extremely straightforward. Whenever you are finished with your purchases, you can go to My BL and then Orders to see all of the orders that you have made. You will be able to see the status of all of your orders here, whether they're being packed or shipped, and at this point, all you have to do is wait for them to show up. Once they do, please do make sure that you change the ship option to either received or completed, and do make sure you give appropriate feedback to the sellers as well. In any case, hopefully that is everything you need to know on how to buy pieces for custom builds. Like I said, if you have any questions, do feel free to throw them down in the comments below. If you found this helpful, go ahead and hit that like button so other people can find it too, and make sure you subscribe for more custom Lego. I want to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons for their continued support in helping this channel grow, especially people like Jonathan and Jaden. You can join them for as low as $1 a month. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.